Welcome to TypeScript FM, the friendly podcast for TypeScript developers where we bring you news, updates, and interviews from the community with plenty of tomfoolery sprinkled in. I'm your host, Kamran Ayub, and I'm joined by my co-host and best bud, Eric Onerheim. Together, we're the two TypeScript fools. Welcome to the show. Hello, hello. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
What's up, Eric?
I'm sick again.
What a surprise. I was joking to you that at some point I'm going to have some sort of AI agent or analysis on like the transcripts for each episode, and then we're going to graph how often Eric was sick.
Yeah, I got to stop licking all those doorknobs or something, you know? Yeah, I'm completely full of cough medicine right now. So if I'm weirder than normal, that's why.
I think it makes the episode more fun, though.
Yeah.
That's what people come here for.
I'm drinking deep into the well of madness right now.
This is the tomfoolery part of the show.
I'm on Dayquil psychosis.
Speaking of psychosis, you were telling me earlier that you've been tasked at work to like investigate these AI tools. So you've been sort of going whole hog into that.
Yeah. And it's furthered my belief that code review is even more important now, not less.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't name any names, but there's someone in my sphere of influence that is now believing they should only review the prompt. And not, as long as the test pass, the prompt is what we should review. And I am like a hard no on that.
No.
Because I have seen way too much like confident errors and bugs and stuff that pass tests.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
I think there's a certain point, or there's a certain context in which maybe you could do something like that, but you have to have all the engineering pieces in place to do the verification and stuff like that. And actually, there is a tool that we'll talk about today that might be able to help with that. But I don't think that we're at the point for a mature code base to be able to just say, you can just review the prompts. Because the thing is that you can just paste in the prompt again and you'll get a totally different output.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So I would not trust that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Maybe we're teetering towards AI psychosis on that.
Yeah, I would say so. Speaking of AI stuff, I did use, I used GitHub Copilot, actually, to build us a TypeScript FM cover art generator. So this is part of the theme of building the thing that builds the thing, right? So for the podcast, for the longest time, we never had custom art for each show because it's kind of an onerous chore to do. Because I would have to, normally what I would do is I would create like an Illustrator template or something, and then after I publish or get ready to publish the episode, I have to go into Illustrator, update the show title, and then if we have a guest one, I could create a guest template and sort of copy and paste the avatars for like the guests, but I have to format them, make them look nice. So I was like, you know what? Be great if I could just use HTML, right? And similar to like social previews that you can dynamically create, what if we just have a fixed number of templates, and then I can just give it the transistor API and have it look at the episode metadata and then just generate it for us. And so that's what I had the AI agent build for me. And I did it in a single day. So from idea to production in one day. And that's what we just used in the last episode and what we're going to be using going forward. And I'm going to update it so that we can update the back catalog of episodes. And I have to say, they look pretty good.
Yeah, and this is using that HTML and Canvas.
Well, not quite.
Oh, is it not?
There is a code path that's supposed to use HTML and Canvas, but I haven't tested that because just so everyone knows, like right now that's behind an experimental flag in Chrome, or you have to enroll in the Origin trial to be able to get your Origin to have it enabled. So the Playwright tests would fail if I did that unless I can figure out how to enable that flag in the Playwright tests. So I think that would be great if we could just leverage HTML and Canvas, and we'll update it once that's more widely available, I guess.
Great for like personal software. Like this is in the good enough territory for us.
Yeah, and so and this is a case where I did not review the code basically at all, right? Like I'm as the user, I just want it to work, right? So I looked at it from like, is this actually working, and was the design good? So I I went back and forth a lot on the cover design because I didn't like that the way it initially did it. But I think this is a good example of like, it's personal software. We don't really care how it's built. It doesn't really matter. It can be slop. As long as the slop works, then it's a value add, right?
Well, I think there's that we've talked about this a little bit before. At the risk of this being a digression, there's like a impact and risk matrix here. Like the impact for us is super high and the risk is super low.
Yes.
Awesome. But if we had like 1 million customers, the risk is super high.
Yes.
So
yeah, this is not a product, right? This is is just for us. It's hard coded to use TypeScript FM. Like there's a drop down of shows and it just picks the first one, which is going to be TypeScript FM. And it's funny because sometimes in its reasoning process, I could see that it was like, well, I need to make sure that it works for any show. I'm like, no. This is for TypeScript FM. I do not care about any other show. I want it to be customized for us, right?
Yeah.
So it was kind of funny. It was like trying to be generic, and I was like, no, you don't have to be generic. It's okay.
Well, should we get into the news for June 8th, 2026?
Yeah. More agent stuff, in fact. So this is still on topic, I guess. But Nuxt has released a new agent called Nuxi, and it's kind of cute. So they've decided to anthropomorphize their agent. It's on their website, so it can help you with the docs and can help explain things, and you can invoke it to get sample code or demos and things like that. It's all built on top of their existing AI infrastructure, like their MCP server and stuff like that. But yeah, it's kind of cute.
Oh yeah, I like the logo here. It's like a little, I don't know if the Nuxt logo is a mountain, but it's a little anthropomorphic mountain with a happy face. It reminds me of Super Mario mountains.
Yes. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what, comes of that. Like, will people use it? I don't know. So, but it seemed like a really low lift for them because they had all the stuff built underneath it already. And there's like a limit to what you can use it for, like obviously because it's, subsidized by them. But it seems like it's a pretty reasonable limit. Like you can do like 20 queries or something like that per day or something. Next up, more agent news. So Stack Overflow has decided that in order to compete in this market today, they are announcing Stack Overflow for agents. And I think this is a pretty interesting idea, and it's not a new idea either. I was reading that Mozilla and Andrew NG have both explored this space of like, how could we create a commons, like a shared commons for agents, coding agents, so that they stop repetitively solving the same problems over and over. And so it's already, all these LLMs are already trained on Stack Overflow data, but there hasn't been a way for agents to contribute back to Stack Overflow. And the way that this works, I think they did it in the right way, which is they tie all the contributions to your human account. So you have to sign in and sign up your agent, right? So it's under my account. And so I'm responsible for the answers that it contributes or the questions that it contributes. And then it goes through the exact same infrastructure as everything else. So there's still moderation, there's still voting. So sloppy answers can be downvoted. And so the best answers will presumably float to the top. And then you can have your agent choose the best, over time, the best agent or the best answers should float to the top.
Mm-hmm.
And it's designed for agents, so there's ways for them to look up information in an efficient way. So I think this was a kind of a clever move by Stack Overflow and their kind of response to like, well, if LLMs are going to be trained on our data, then maybe what we could do is we could sort of embrace that and like build out this shared knowledge base for these agents. Now, the question is going to be like, over time, will this actually work out? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and will people use it? I don't know.
For giggles, I last night I had this to enroll. It's actually pretty easy. You copy paste a little prompt, agents.stackoverflow.com/LLMs.text, and it'll go and say, hey, do you want to pull in this skill and then enroll? And it does a whole OAuth flow with your personal Stack Overflow account, which is very interesting. I had no idea that this was a onboarding path that you could use. Is like, hey, paste this in your agent and it'll follow the instructions.
Nice.
And that was a little weird. I was a little creeped out a little bit, but I went and looked through, and relatively few agent answers right now. I think there's only 2 pages of results, at least when at the time of recording when I went and looked. So it's it's still early days, but I think this will be yet to be seen, but could be good to save money on compute if you can just find the answer and copy paste like we used to do, like in the good old days when we copy pasted from Stack Overflow, right?
Yeah, but now our agents can do the same thing.
They can copy paste as well.
Yep. So I'm sure there's going to be the same sort of friction or same sort of risks that existed when we used to do it or still do it, and now our agents are going to do it instead.
Never have I ever copy paste from Stack Overflow to production.
Yep. That's pretty funny. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. I think this is one of the things that I thought might happen of like, I feel like, human workflows and agent workflows are so similar, both from the way that like cognitively the systems that we're building mirror like a lot of human cognition, right? And so obviously one of those things is being able to do lookups for long-term memory or to share information. Now, the other thing, and I think that there's going to be parallels to a lot of the tools that we use for human collaboration with agent collaboration. So here's my prediction that we'll eventually see a Slack for agents as well, so that agent teams can communicate with each other more efficiently. And it's not going to look like our Slack, you know what I mean? But it's going to be a tool for them to talk to each other. And probably someone's already been working on that or has built that type of
Maybe
thing.
That's OpenClaw.
Yeah, it could be
it's
OpenClaw.
The agent zoo already.
Yep, exactly. So I think there's a lot of parallel stuff that we'll build for agents as users, right? Because the user stories change, but they're similar. Like it's kind of like a shadow, you know what I mean? Like you have the human user story, and then as a shadow of that, you have the agent user story, because they are similar, but they're different in specific ways.
I wonder if there's an opportunity here to experiment with different ways of collaboration and backport it into human space.
Right.
Asterisk, relatively cheap ways of experimenting with collaboration techniques quickly on agents and then being like, oh, this might work really well for humans, and you backport it, versus the other way, the humans to agents.
Exactly. Well, and I've been reading Architecture for Flow, that book by Suzanne Kaiser, and in there she talks about 3 different strategic tools: Wardley mapping, domain-driven design, and team topologies. And one thing I haven't seen yet really in this space is how can we apply team topologies to agentic teams? Because I think that the same strategy could work for them, where you have enabling teams, platform teams, value stream teams, and specific specialized subsystem teams, or complex subsystem teams. And there's a way that they interface with each other, and there's a way that the software that they build or the systems that they build interface with each other. And there are formal definitions that are agnostic of technology and agnostic of framework. And it's a fantastic book, and I think you should read it in this age of AI, where our strategic thinking is now much more valuable than our coding skills, is my take, and judgment and taste. And we've talked about this, but Architecture for Flow is a fantastic book to sort of level you up in that. But anyway, that's one of the things I've been thinking about is when are we going to see team topologies for agents?
Very interesting stuff.
Yeah, next up, we've got some conferences. There's the Web Engine Hackfest, which is going on right now this week, and some of it has already been live streamed. I don't believe individual talks have been split out yet into YouTube videos, but there is. We'll link to the main live stream YouTube video, and it's like 8 hours long, and so you can page through it to see the different talks, or you can just wait until they are split out. JSNation also just happened, and those talks are currently pending, but they are recorded, and I've linked to JSNation.com where you can see the recorded talks.
Yeah, and in particular, the Web Engine Hackfest has all of the community that builds all of the different browsers together in one place. So they're talking about like Chromium, Blink, V8, Safari, WebKit, JSC, Firefox, yada, yada, yada. So it's kind of like the who's who of what's going on in the browser, and there's a lot of really cool stuff happening right now in the browser space. So if you want the latest and greatest, like the hottest bits, like definitely check that out.
I think we've said this before, but like life pro tip If you replace your 2 hours of Netflix with 2 hours of watching conference talks on YouTube, you are going to be possibly the most valuable person in your company within like a few months. Like there is so much wisdom and knowledge in these conference talks that are just you just have to find them on YouTube. But the algorithm is never going to surface them as like top picks or whatever for you. So it's up to you to be intentional to go find these. But I love watching conference talks on YouTube. There's just so much knowledge available that you can just watch for free. You don't even have to attend the conferences, and you'll still get a lot of that benefit.
On a related note, WWDC, the I don't know what Worldwide Developer Conference. I think it's Apple's developer conference is going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a great video featuring Jen Simmons about all of the things that are shipping in the new WebKit Safari 27 beta, which one of the biggest things that I think like has been a huge thing stymieing like web progress for a long time is they are shipping a spec compliant module loader. And this means that we'll have ESM module loading in Safari. Finally, that's spec compliant, and this is the blocker that was blocking top level await. So this is huge. This also positions WebKit to adopt more stage 3 things like import defer. So this is big. So Safari's catching up.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, and that's really good news too, because for a while the joke has been that Safari is the new Internet Explorer, but now since like Interop has been put together, like that working group of the different browser vendors together trying to implement the standards and the spec, that we have been seeing both like Firefox and Safari keep like pumping out these new standard compliant features that are bringing it more to parity with like, you know, where Chrome has always been on the edge for like, here's all the new features like HTML and Canvas and stuff.
And you can maybe argue that sometimes Chrome gets ahead of their skis.
Yes.
Prompt API.
Uh-huh. Yes. Okay, so we do have a few security PSAs. One is from Node.js, and they bleated that they have a security release pre-alert. So Node.js will release new versions of the 26, 24, and 22 release lines on or shortly after June 17th in order to address one or more security issues. The highest severity is high, which is important to know. So be ready on those days. That's only in a few days to update your release lines.
Yep. Mark your calendars. Next up, life comes at you fast. The U.S. government has pulled Claude Fable days after launch, and we are linking to Socket blog posts by Sarah Gooding talking about the stated reasons from the U.S. government as security concerns, air quotes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's pretty wild. I did get a chance to play with it, like very briefly, and spent a ridiculous amount of money on it.
Mm-hmm.
It one prompt cost me $55. So
yes.
That's the kind of cash that this thing will drain.
And it was, so to be fair, it was a code review, right?
Yeah, I had it do a deep code review of a repo, and it found some stuff. It also found some false positives, so there's plenty of false positives in there.
I would be interested to know now you have your Fable review. Did you try any other models, like for example, one of the cheaper open models, to see like how does it compare? Did it actually find something that was valuable, or was it basically like, could you have gotten basically the same quality with a much, much, much cheaper and older model?
I went and compared this against like GPT-5.5 and Opus, and a lot of it matched up. A lot of it didn't, but there was disagreement between all of the major like frontier models on some of the like the smaller stuff,
mm-hmm.
like the things that maybe don't matter as much. But on like the 2 or 3 like headlining things that were important, it actually did kind of agree on those things. Disagreed on how to fix it, but that's where you use your human brain.
Yeah.
But they were real issues. Like I went through every single thing, and it did find real issues.
All right. Moving on, we do have some library watches. You've got something from Mastro.
Yeah, Mastro just posted about their new ATproto helper to help integrate Mastro sites with Atmosphere. And so you can create and update Standard.site records from your existing website without any headaches. So if you're already using Mastro, this might be a no-brainer. If you're interested in getting into the ATproto space, which maybe you should because the Fediverse is strong, building the social internet with like one protocol at a time.
Yeah, and we'll talk about Standard.site in a minute. We have a section on that in our community highlights. Before we do that, though, there's a couple more library watches. Fallow, that's Fallow, is a Rust tool that is designed for humans and AI agents to figure out the changes that an agent is making. Are they risky? Do they introduce duplicate code? Does it cross architectural boundaries that it should not cross? It's basically it's very similar to like knip, which is a way to clean up your code base, but it's more of like an audit report that an agent can execute, and there's different CLI commands that it can use to judge the quality of like a code contribution from an agent. And it can be used by humans because you can use the CLI to try to figure out, how risky is this change or what did it impact? And an AI agent can use it during its work loop to like use it to check itself. Or you can have the other model that does the reviewing, that does the adversarial review. You can have that use Fallow to get better insights into the code. And there's just a lot of stuff that it does. Like it can do code complexity, and it's all deterministic. There's no AI inside the tool. It is just a tool that is designed for agents to be able to use. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. I would definitely check that out. Because as you sort of said at the beginning, software engineering quality practices are like now more important with agents. They were always important, but we always had like this, it's always like this thing where, when you ask people, did you write any tests? And you met so many developers that are like, no, I don't write tests. And now that you can't do that anymore. Like with agents, you have to write tests. And I think that's one of the good things about this whole like AI agent sort of this landscape that we're moving into is that it is elevating software quality to where it should be and where it should have been before. And what top mature engineering teams were doing, but it is raising the bar for that. So tools like this, I think, will be really helpful in addition to like static analysis and stuff, which just this does. And they are selling an add-on, an optional feature, which does runtime analysis. So that would be pretty interesting. But it's an open source tool, so you can use it and try it out.
Yeah, no, it seems pretty interesting. I wish I had a chance to run it on our code base because I imagine it might have some interesting insights.
Mm-hmm.
Next on our list is rspack news. After shipping import defer, they are shipping import source for WASM. So this is, this is the TC39 source phase imports proposal. So it lets you import a compiled WASM module directly. So this is pretty cool. So like if you wanted to be like, hey, I want the source code for this WASM module and I want to be able to use it right now, let's go. I want to import source WASM module from module.wasm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty neat. So rspack is really doing the Lord's work here right now. Next up, if you are an enterprise SAP developer using UI5, they just posted a blog post on TypeScript 6 and 7, what UI5 developers need to know in 2026. So they go through all of the things that are relevant to you if you are in that space. And I imagine that we have a few SAP folks in the enterprise here listening. This might be a blog post that you want to read because they go through specific settings and specific TS config options and types that you want to take a look at. So all of these are very, very specific to UI5.
Nice. Well, if you do have to deal with SAP, I'm so sorry.
I am sorry. Yes, I am sorry as well.
But you have a lot of job security, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, community highlights. What do we got?
First up, the Boston TypeScript Club is calling for speakers. So if you're in the Boston area and you would like to speak about whatever you're doing in TypeScript, you should give them a ring.
Yes.
Also, a related friend of the show, Josh Goldberg, is going to be speaking June 25th about what's new in TypeScript 7. So you should check that out.
Awesome. Next up, I saw this on Reddit. This is from slicker.me, which is kind of a funny domain name. They look like they're a game developer, just looking at their homepage. But this is like just a plain HTML page that is a cheat sheet for template literal types in TypeScript. So I'm sure that they made this so that they can refer back to it, and it's just super simple, very straightforward, has code examples, and just gets to the meat of like, here's how to use template literal types in different ways.
I'm putting this in my bookmarks. This is so good.
Yeah, this is a great bookmarklet. Next up, I have a video from Software Developer Diaries on YouTube, and it explains TypeScript's unknown type. And it starts out by talking about what's bad with using any and what that actually means in the TypeScript compiler, and then how does unknown compare to using that. And I think this is a great video because it just spends a bunch of time on this one little topic and explains it in a deeper way of like what's happening behind the scenes with the compiler when you use the unknown type and why we say, don't use any, use unknown instead.
Mm-hmm.
Because I will admit that the first time that I encountered the unknown type, I wasn't really sure what the difference was between any and unknown, but now I know a little bit better, and this is a great video that explains that.
Yeah, it's kind of the difference between fail open and fail safe. What is it? Fail safe or fail unsafe? I'm on cold medicine, but fail any is anything can happen. Fail unknown is okay. We're gonna push you to validate the situation, so that's gonna fail safe.
Yeah, I think the way that they described any is like it basically turns off the compiler for that type. But unknown doesn't do that. Unknown does make you validate it. So that's why it is a better type if you can use it. Next up, by Francesco Ciulla? I don't know how to pronounce the last name. Sorry about that. They are a Rust YouTuber, and they have a great video on Rust and web development in 2026 where it actually wins. And I think this is great because it talks about like where JavaScript fits in the web development landscape for like front end and UI, and where Rust sits and why people are switching to Rust, all these developer tools and backends and stuff like that. And so Francesco goes through where it is good and where it can be used and where it's not as good. And I think where it's not as good is the UI, right? That's why JavaScript is one on the web. He's like, there's no question that JavaScript is one on the web. So why is Rust winning and where will it continue to win? And he goes into some of those details. So, we love strategy stuff and landscape and what's changing in the landscape. This is a great video that talks about that. Next up, Matt Marquis, otherwise known as Will2, has a great post on Standard.site. So Standard.site, we haven't really talked too much about because it's fairly new in like the last couple weeks. But Eric, are you familiar with what Standard.site is?
Not really, no.
Okay, so, and Matt has a great intro, which is basically when I first saw Standard.site, I thought, what a great way to have a standard way to do social previews. That's basically kind of what it is, but it plugs into Atmosphere, so this is related to ATproto, and it provides a standard way for ATproto sites to take a schema from your site and be able to like subscribe people or show a publication and handle links, like being able to add custom UI to links in a standard way. Because for the longest time, we've always had social sites do weird things with the way to integrate them. Like you had Facebook open graph tags, you had the weird Twitter meta tags, which you still have to use even for X, and whatever ways that you have to do it. So Standard.site provides a standardized way to expose that information, and Atmosphere sites, or any site really, can use that. Social networks can use that metadata to then surface different functionality on preview links, which is really cool. And
I love this.
Yeah, I used this recently because someone had published a blog post and it was available on Leaflet, which uses Standard.site. And from Blue Sky, I was able to click a link that said subscribe to this user, like to their newsletter. And all I had to do was sign in with Blue Sky, and bam, there I am. I was subscribed.
Well, that's great.
So I didn't even have to go through their website to do it. It all just happened through this flow, through the Standard.site flow, which is really cool.
And as far as I understand, like the ATproto, the whole idea is to distribute the social aspect of the web, and have like a common social protocol.
Yes. And I think this is definitely super useful if you are in the own your audience and own your publishing, which like that's how I feel. And I think it's very important to own your audience and own your content and not build your castle in someone else's kingdom, as the saying goes. Because when Twitter goes down or, a social site becomes very unsavory and you have to leave it, you don't have to leave your entire audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if that happens, you've created a dependency. And so the platform is, if the platform rises, you rise. If the platform falls, you fall.
Yeah. Yeah. You're also independent of like capricious activity by whatever platform.
Yes.
The one that I'm thinking of in particular was like Tumblr in recent memory is like has flip-flopped on policy that's affected creators, significantly.
Yes, exactly.
Next up on my list is a video about JavaScript and TypeScript on GNOME. And if you're not familiar, GNOME is a desktop environment inside of Linux distributions. This talk was originally given at the GNOME conference in July of last year, but it was just published in Igalia like a couple days ago. But this is a really cool talk about how to make like native looking apps, GNOME apps using JavaScript, TypeScript in Linux. So it's pretty cool. There's a really cool template that they link to in the slides. It's called the GNOME TypeScript template, and you can get started right there. That's on gitlab.gnome.org. And then this talk is really slick and related. One of our community members recently, JumpLink, on the Discord, posted a framework built on top of this GNOME.js. So it's GJS. They made GJSify, which allows you to build games that just run on Linux that are built in TypeScript or JavaScript. And they, in fact, use this to wrap our platformer demo called Jelly Jumper, that's like a Super Mario World clone, into a Linux app that runs on GNOME in GTK4, which is so cool.
That's really cool. And just to be clear, this is without a browser engine, WebView, or Electron.
Yes.
So GJS is their JavaScript, the GNOME JavaScript runtime.
Mm-hmm.
That's super cool.
Yeah. And it's based on the Firefox JavaScript engine, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So it's using that engine under the hood.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, super neat. Next on my list, Cheung has a talk that they just gave at JSNation. I think recording is pending right now. We'll link to that as soon as it's up. But the slides are up, and this talk is something that I've struggled with quite a bit, and that's the differences between ESM in Node, the bundler, and the browser, and kind of the subtle differences therein. And even without the talk, the slides are extremely illuminating. And Joyee did a great job of going through and figuring out and showing all of the issues that you might run into. And I consistently have this problem because I'm so used to doing ESM in the browser, and then it'll behave differently in Node, and I'll be surprised. So definitely check this out. It goes through in excruciating detail of what's different.
That's awesome. I love these like deep dive talks.
Mm-hmm. Next on the list is a video which is intro to TSL, and this is a way of doing shaders in TypeScript. It's called Three.js shader language, but it allows you to do strongly typed type-safe shader language, which is a huge problem. If you've ever written GLSL or any shader language, it's very easy to make a mistake. So this is an intro to that. So you can use this in Three.js right now.
That's cool. So just to be clear, this can only be used in Three.js? Is that how that works? So it doesn't like compile to GLSL that you can use in any engine?
That is a great question. Let me double check, but I think that's the case. I think it does rely on Three.js, but I don't understand why you couldn't use it. Let me see.
Okay, I'm reading about it. This is an actual really good blog post. I should just give it to you. But it says, Three.js shading language is a functional language based on JavaScript that is meant to act as a sort of umbrella shading language, making shader creation more accessible and also maintainable over time. Through the introduction of TSL, Three.js provided the ability to write shaders that can run on web GPU, which was not supported up to that point, while also allowing for these same shaders to run on WebGL, thus letting developers target any platform with unique code regardless of web GPU support. So below is an example of a simple shader written in TSL and its GLSL and WGSL equivalents. So yes, the answer is yes. You can do it.
Sweet.
So I can link to this blog post. This is written in October of 2025, so last year. But it's a field guide to TSL and WebGPU. So this might be a good companion to the video.
I feel like this is a thing I should know. And then I have a secret of the handbook, which is a post on Blue Sky pointing out from Tom McWright, pointing out the TypeScript wiki on how to write TypeScript code that is easy to compile and fast to compile. And this is just an oldie but a goodie. Now, there is a huge warning sign at the top of this page, which is read carefully before you jump to conclusions on this page. This is probably not you. You're probably not in this situation. But they're talking about how to improve the speed of compilation. It's an oldie but a goodie. And this Blue Sky thread, Daniel Rosenwasser chimes in, and also Orta chimes in with Dimitri's tool for TypeSlayer, as well as a few other techniques here to improve your type compilation.
Yeah, this is awesome. I remember that I did work in a code base that was affected by TS build times. And this is the type of stuff that I had to look into. And so this is a fantastic reference to go look at that if you're in that same situation.
Awesome.
Sweet. You got some cool links?
I do have a couple cool links. And I'm going to cheat. I brought two.
What?
And I am going to cheat. The first one I think is really fun because I was as a kid, I was a huge dinosaur nerd. And there's a great video on YouTube by Extinct Zoo about how close were the dinosaurs to their own Stone Age. And depending on how you think about it, they might have been pretty close, which I think is pretty funny. And you could argue that some animals in modernity are already in their own Stone Age.
Oh, yeah.
So like corvids, for example, like crows and ravens are extremely intelligent. Like you can maybe argue that raccoons are also in their own Stone Age using tool use. The great apes, for example, are also, documented using tools, various birds as well. But it's very interesting. So you'd be like, the Silurian hypothesis, like tinfoil hat, it's not aliens. I don't know. But I don't know. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
That's
and
fun.
Then if you weren't watching Nintendo Direct, they announced an Ocarina of Time remake, which I'm very excited for. That's my other cool link, is the Ocarina of Time remake.
Unfortunately, there's no gameplay yet that they were able to show. But yeah, the hype is real for that.
Yeah, I loved that game. I played that game so much.
Yeah, it was a fantastic game. I remember finishing it and being like, this is awesome. And I played on the emulator because I never had a chance to own it on a proper N64. So it'll be really nice to be able to replay it on the Switch. For my cool link, I have a cool course. And if you recall that I took the CSS course by Andy Bell, and it's hosted on Piccalilli. That's their learning platform. And Matt Marquis, who we just featured for Standard.site, has a new course called JavaScript for Everyone. And if you want to understand the details, the nitty-gritty of JavaScript and how it works, this will be the course for you. And I can recommend Piccalilli because they have very, very high-quality courses. And the other cool thing about their courses is that they're interactive online courses. In fact, the CSS one, it had a little bit of video, but it was mostly like to demo stuff. It's not like a video course. And I think that this one is the same way. So highly recommend if you have a learning budget and you got some training and development money to spend for your company, go and enroll in JavaScript for Everyone.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's time for the long goodbye.
Time for the Minnesota long goodbye.
What's on your mind?
Summer.
Yeah,
summertime. We had our family reunion this last weekend, like I mentioned in the last show. It was a lot of fun. What is kind of funny is that North Dakotans are not they're not used to people walking on the side of the road, and then like in the rural areas outside the city, because I need to get my 10,000 steps in, right? And so we're at the farm, and I'm like, I'm going to go for a walk. And so all you have to do is just like walk in a circle, like in a square, like following the road, and that'll be like a 5-mile walk. And I was on the side of the road, and first of all, there's like no shoulder. There's like hardly any shoulder, right? And the people are going like, on this road, they're going like 60 to 70 miles an hour.
Woof.
So Cassie was like, "Be careful." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll be fine." And I was fine. There's probably only saw like 3 cars, but one of them did slow down. And he was like, "Hey, you need a ride?" I'm like, "Nope, just going for a walk." But I don't think people do that very much.
Yeah, when I'm out at my mom's house, I'll go for a run out in the country, and they also have the same problem. It's paved, but people are driving fast.
Yes.
So like I'm always worried that I'm going to have to like dive into a ditch. So I usually run the wrong direction down the road so that I can see
that's
people
how
coming.
Yeah, that's how you're supposed to do it. Yep.
Yeah. So, but I've been yelled at by cyclists before doing that. Like they're like, "You're on the wrong side of the road." I'm like, I've almost been killed by cyclists before. I prefer to see it coming.
Yep. No, and that I don't know what they're talking about, because I was taught as a kid you're supposed to bike on the opposite direction too, so that you can see, and so that they can see you coming and you can see them coming. So that's what I tend to do. So I don't know if they're teaching people something different now or what, but I think that's the safer way to go.
I have been yelled at by cyclists on shared trails so much, which is ridiculous because the cyclists on those shared trails are going way faster than the speed limit in Minnesota. They're going like above 25 miles per hour.
For sure.
With pedestrians on the shared trail. Like if they collided with a pedestrian, it would be like a medical event.
Yeah.
Like it would be an emergency.
Yeah. We have a trail that is bike only, but there have been pedestrians on the trail. And the thing is I don't care. Like I'll just say on your left and I'm coming through. And you know what? If people just want to walk on the paved trail, whatever. There's a trail that's right next to it that they're supposed to use, the pedestrians. But like, I don't think it's a big deal. Like it's slightly annoying, but it's not really a big deal.
Yeah. I don't know. And maybe I'm the wrong side of history here, but I've definitely had some pretty rude encounters with cyclists.
Yeah, there's always rude encounters everywhere. We had rude encounters when we were flying. We could talk about this, but like I was yelled at by some guy because I got up in the aisle to go follow Cassie and the kids because they had to go to the bathroom really, really bad. And so they got up into the aisle and they had to skip ahead a little bit. And I got up to go follow them, and I was only going to pass like 2 rows, and there's nobody in the aisle. Okay, let me just be clear. I was not skipping ahead of anybody. But the people that were sitting right in front of me, one of them held out their hand, and the other guy goes, "Weren't you sitting back there?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You don't think the rules apply to you?" And I didn't say anything, but I was thinking like, what rules? Like, yes, there's courtesy, right? And I don't normally get up into the aisle and go, but do you know how many people do that? Like, I've seen so many people just get up into the aisle and run ahead, right? As long as it's open, because it's first come, first serve. There are no rules on the airplane. But I was fine. I was just silent the whole time, and I just let them go. It was okay. But at the same time, I'm like, I think Cassie wants me to get up there so I can help with the kids, but whatever.
Yeah. Clearly, there's not. There's. I feel like there's a whole like level of people that don't mind their own business now.
Yeah.
Or that assert themselves as the authority. They just don't. They don't know the context either. Like maybe they didn't know you were the father of all these children going to the bathroom.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
You need to be up there to like marshal the children. So
yeah, it's hard. I mean, because from their perspective, they might see just some guy trying to get ahead of them into the aisle, but I'm trying to catch up to my family, and they also don't know that we were in Denver, and last time we missed our connection, and this was another one of those times where we only had about half an hour to catch the connection, and we had to cross concourses. And so like these people have no idea that okay, we missed the connection last time and it was miserable, and I do not want to go through that again. So but yeah, and so that's why I don't say anything to other people of like, you don't know, you don't have any context to why they're doing this, right? And it's not a big deal. We're all going to the same place. We're trying to get out of the gate. If you wanted to get out first, then you would buy a seat in first class if you were that concerned about it. The rest of us, it's a first come, first serve. Whoever's in the aisle goes,
Yeah. It's kind of silly out there. I feel like it's only gotten worse after COVID.
Yeah.
Like I had a friend who used to work as a steward on an airplane, and they quit because
Really?
it was getting obnoxious. Like passengers are getting like belligerent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they've forgotten how to behave
Yeah.
in a society.
Yep. Well, I was complaining about this to you when we met up the other day at the restaurant. I was driving, it was Friday night, and there was at least 3 cases where people like went ahead of me and like went through a red light because I was stopped at the red light, which is the law, and they like went around me to go through the red light. I'm like, what is happening right now? And then
they were upset at you.
Yeah, they're upset at me. Or we have this all the time where there's the stop sign outside of our house and people will just blow right past it. In fact, we talked to the city about it and we're like, could we have, better, more visible signage and stuff like that? And they said, their response was, it's not really about that. People just don't think that they need to stop at the stop sign. That's the problem. So if we put something there, it's not actually going to help. But they did say that we are looking at that corridor because they see that a lot. And it's just, there's kids around, there's people biking, like it's dangerous. And people just blow through that stop sign like it isn't there.
You've been driving around my neighborhood. People consistently ignore stop signs in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I've had to slam the brakes a couple of times because a few people, like I didn't have a stop, but they did. And they just went right through. And I was like, okay, you got to be like on defense in our neighborhood.
That's right. So I agree. I don't know what is happening, but I think that a lot of people don't think the rules apply to them. So
yeah, I don't know. Like, mind your own business and also be courteous. I don't know.
Be courteous. Yeah. Yep. That's right. So like when I got called out on the airplane, I was like, that's fine. I will let all of you go. And in fact, after I got yelled at, I talked to the people right in front of me. I'm like, do you guys want to go ahead of me? It's totally fine. And they're like, no, it's okay. We're going to wait. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah. And when I'm not in a rush, it takes forever to get my daughter off the plane because there's so much accoutrement. So like we wind up we're usually the last ones off the aircraft.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to try and rush.
Exactly.
Because it just stresses me out to try and like, oh, it's your turn. Grab all 400 items of child thing that you need to take.
Yeah. And that's why we prefer long connections. So or no connections. Like that's the ideal, but we couldn't get past this having a connected flight, and it got delayed, like the initial flight, because originally it was going to be like an hour and a half, and there's no reason to rush in that case to get off the plane. But then it got tightened to 30 minutes, and I knew that it took 20 minutes to cross the concourses in Denver because Denver is a terrible airport. So yeah, it was just I did not like that feeling, but.
I have done that run across Denver before.
Yeah,
I have done that one.
Yep. Yeah, it's no good. And I don't know why United decides to do that, to have the connecting flights be in separate concourses, but they do.
Yeah, no, I've had to do the sprint. And no fun.
No. So anyway, this was the Minnesota long rant, I guess. But
yeah, be nice on airplanes.
Be nice.
And cyclists, tune your crew up.
Yeah. Just mind your own business. How about that? Unless you're doing something dangerous and illegal, right?
Yeah.
Then you can call people out. I don't know.
Common sense is not that common.
That's what my dad used to say. All right, we'll leave it at that. Have a good week, everybody. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, everyone. This is Kamran. I just wanted to thank you for listening to the show, and we hope you enjoyed the episode. If you want to see the show notes, you can check your podcast player or go to TypeScript.fm, where you'll see a list of all the episodes. If you enjoyed the show, tell your friends, and please rate it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, because that's how the show grows and gets discovered by more people. If you want to suggest news or a project that should be covered, or just want to say hi, email us at feedback@typescript.fm. If you want to follow us on social, we're both active on Blue Sky. I'm at comronicus.com, and Eric is at ericownerheim.com. You can also follow the show directly at typescript.fm.